Happy Thursday, I'm Rob Mack.
And I'm Jessica Moyer. Welcome to EverTalk Live, coming to you live Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. for all things happiness in Hollywood, a little pop culture and positivity, and I need a dose of it today.
Yeah, Jess, are you feeling Thursday?
I am feeling Thursday. It's Thorough Thursday, and I am so glad I have a resident happiness expert
There you
right
go.
here
There
in
you
the
go.
house. Ooh.
Yes, yeah.
He's been working out.
There's some muscles in there, Jess. So it's 3 a.m. wake-up call, so I got to get to the gym. It's so funny because I was texting my mom this morning, and she's like, "Oh, honey, I don't know. You're always at the gym every morning, you know." And I said, "You know, it's funny because I think as a kid, I developed that discipline just from school and from always being in sports. You know what I mean? But you're extraordinarily disciplined, but you didn't do the sports, right?"
Oh, I was a cheerleader and a dancer.
Cheerleader,
yes.
I should have known.
So the discipline came from years of ballet.
Oh,
actually.
okay. And the posture, naturally. It's always
thank
perfect,
you, Mother.
Jess.
Yeah.
I always feel jealous about that. I'm like, man, I got to sit up straight. I see Jess.
Well, I have something that's going to cure those early mornings for you, Rob. Peace out, puffy eyes.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay, our friends at Peace Out sent these to me because they knew I was having a week, right? I woke up this morning with third eyes, right? Those bags under your eyes. 15 minutes later, here you go, camera ready. Thank you, peace out. So I thought I'd share these with you.
Wow, that's like a big look right there. It's like, this is only second to books, like as a gift. My goodness, I mean, this may actually trump books, so I appreciate that.
Exactly. If you ever see me actually inside still wearing my sunglasses, it's not because I'm trying to be Hollywood. It's actually because I'm not trying to scare you with my under eye masks that are happening right now, because it is very,
I've literally walked to the gym that way. I'm not even kidding. With the hood on, have the eye mask. I forget because I'm still half sleeping, and I'm like, oh wow, probably scaring people and freaking them out because I get the, you know.
I went in to get my coffee the other day and totally forgot about it too. She kind of gave me the look, and I thought, it is LA. Yes, I want collagen in my coffee, and I have patches on. Okay?
There you go, exactly. That was a mic drop, by the way.
Mic drop. Really there you go. It's one of those days. Well, we're so excited to welcome our very special guest today. Good morning, everyone, back in the studio.
Good morning. Yeah.
Hey, we've got Mastering Diabetes in the house, revolutionary method to reversing insulin resistance. Good morning.
Nice.
So great to be here. Thanks for having us.
Yes, and we like to know, how do you wake up and stay woke? What's your morning routine?
The first thing I do in the morning is I wake up and I actually look at my phone and I begin the workday because I'm passionate about what I do and grateful for the opportunity to share important information with people who need it.
Wow, that's beautiful. I'd say most people who look at their phone first thing in the morning probably don't feel that kind of gratitude. So kudos to you, my friend.
Well, thanks so much for being here. Francisco is in the house. Francisco, 310, representing. Good morning.
Good morning, good morning. I do something similar. I check my phone in the morning too, but I just make sure that I actually plugged it in and, you know, so it doesn't die overnight.
Yeah.
And then I make the groggiest cup of coffee, followed by, if I'm working on a character or anything like that, I take a look at the script and I begin my day. So.
It's nice. Must be nice getting those text messages from producers from Curb Your Enthusiasm, huh?
Yes, when you're lucky enough to get them, yeah.
Fantastic.
Well, thanks so much for being with us. Namaste, Janae. All the puns intended. Good morning. So how do you wake up and stay woke? What's your morning routine?
Mine is definitely different than my fellows over here. I like to wake up and I place a hand over my heart. I give thanks and gratitude for another fresh day, and then I meditate for about 10 minutes.
Love that. So what's your meditation like? What do you do?
Deep breathing, slow deep breathing, a continuous cyclical breath, just to really get into my body and start to wake up.
The cyclical breath. Yeah. Love that.
Oh, I love the get into her body. I wake up, I don't think I'm in my body until 3 cups of coffee.
Takes a little while. Yeah.
It takes a lot of while. Dan Paris is in the house. Good morning, Dan.
Good morning.
Congratulations on the release of your book, As Needed for Pain. We're really excited to have this in conversation with you. So tell us, how do you wake up and stay woke? What's your routine?
Do you know what? I do the exact same thing. We've just met, but I wake up in the morning and I meditate, and then I take a minute for gratitude, and I actually I'm on this email chain with about 10 other guys, and we exchange a gratitude list. We try to do it every day. Not everybody does, but I always take a minute for gratitude in the morning.
Oh, I love this. With all this gratitude and positivity, I expect a lot healthier, happier energy here in LA. So I'm glad you guys are holding space for that, because we can certainly use it here.
Oh, absolutely. All right, Sarah, so tell us, how do you wake up and stay woke?
So I do 2 things, actually. I have 2 cats. And so when I wake up in the morning, I usually get a nice snuggle fest with them, give them some tickles, and kind of let them run around on the bed a lot. And then the second thing that I do is I go straight to the gym, just like Rob. Exercise for me is religion. So I get up and I go and I get an hour-long workout, usually at a CrossFit gym, and really push hard and have a great time.
Ah, fantastic. I haven't converted to the CrossFit yet, but I hear such fantastic things, so glad somebody out there is representing. Awesome.
That's a conversion I will never make.
No, never make that one, huh, Jess? It's too much, huh?
Way too much.
It's too much of a leap.
Oh, Janaea is in the house. She's an award-winning director, actor, incredible beauty. Good morning.
Good morning.
We're so excited to hear all about you, the new show on Revolt TV. But first, we want to know, how do you wake up and stay woke? What's your morning routine?
How do I wake up and stay woke? I have a very spicy cup of coffee. I put cayenne in there, I put some chai spices in there. And then I do my gratitude as well. I do the 15-minute miracle, and oh my God, it works like crazy. We have a group email with like 10 other people, my husband and I, and that's how we stay in tune with each other, and we don't reach for our phones. That's the other thing. About an hour without it is really important, I think.
So that's the secret, keeping the coffee spicy, the life spicy.
And I dance.
Oh.
I'm into dance, so.
What kind of dance?
I put on YouTube and just go.
Yeah. There you go. I love that.
Beyonce, you know.
Yeah.
Just keeping it moving.
That's
Right,
some
house
sort of-
party.
Yeah, 15-minute miracle.
I know.
Right there.
Our first 15 minutes is better than my whole day. That's dope. Just love it.
Well, thank you all so much for being with us. We look forward to continuing the conversation later in the show.
Love starting the day with a dance party, Jess.
I do too. I love starting our morning hearing about everybody's morning routines and how they wake up and stay woke, because there is such a common denominator. One, about just really taking a moment for yourself, whether that's that 15-minute miracle or a gratitude list or meditation, coffee, whatever that is, that ritual is so important.
It's so true, Jess. I think it's so easy to let the momentum of like the previous night or the momentum of the day just like take over and control your day, and then you're miserable and unhappy. But when you're intentional, it's amazing how much better your day goes. I always feel like the first part of my day is the best part of my day, quite frankly.
You know what I thought is really interesting too, is honoring whatever it is that works for you.
Yes.
I joke often, I say, you do you, boo, right? But I mean that in all seriousness, because as he said, I CrossFit. I'm never gonna CrossFit. I'm not gonna feel guilty about it. I'm not gonna wake up and feel like I have to do whatever it is that works for Rob or works for Janae or works for Cyrus. I'm gonna do what works for Jaslyn. And if that means having, my apple cider and hot water followed by my coffee, and then, 20 minutes of changing my clothes and figuring out what gown I'm going to wear today, whatever that is, like, I have to honor that for myself.
Totally. I mean, that's not only a great way to start the day, it's a great way to live your life, right? Where you
really
custom tailor
is.
it for yourself. And it's true. I think that this day and age, so many people are trying to live somebody else's life, or they're trying to do somebody else's work, or they're trying to basically be somebody else, and that will never work well, right? You'll never be happy trying to be someone else or do somebody else's life.
They say stay in your own lane for a reason,
Yes.
right?
That's right.
And don't compare your journey to where somebody else is in theirs, right?
Yeah.
And that's the blessing and the curse of Instagram. We see all the great things that everybody's doing in their lives, and then we compare where we're at in our trajectory, which is completely different because it's your own lane, your own life.
Yeah.
So why are you comparing yourself to anybody else's?
It's so true. You got to run your own race. And I have a friend that says that all the time, my buddy Doug, always say, run your own race, and it's so true. I grew up running cross country, and when I first started running cross country, I knew I sucked. So I would try to just stay at the back of the pack with the other guys. And, I worked for a little while. And then at some point in time, I realized I was a little bit better than that. So then I tried to basically keep pace with the top guys. And then I would burn out real quickly. And you just suddenly discovered you got to find your own rhythm and your own cadence to this running thing or this work thing or this life thing. Otherwise, you'll either burn out or you'll rust out. Right?
Completely. And recognize that the scenes change and the people change too,
Yeah,
right?
true.
If you're trying to carry people that served you in the past along with the future that those people no longer serve you, you got to let those things go.
Yeah.
You got to let that cross country go, or that boyfriend or that girlfriend or whatever that limiting belief was. You've got to let it go if you're going to grow and evolve.
Oh, you piecing out on some folks, Jess? Deuces, huh?
Yeah, no, maybe actually. If you,
right?
you might have it coming, but you probably aren't watching the show. But there you go. So
That's freaking fantastic. Love
it's
it.
interesting though, because you know how I love Moon Omens, right? And,
Yeah.
not sponsored by them by any means, but great Instagram account.
But if they want to send you a check,
Yeah,
it's fine, right?
And they prompted a thought in me today, and it said, the reason you might not be healing is that you're trying to still be who you were before.
Ooh, yeah.
And
yeah.
that person might not be serving you anymore.
Oh, I love
And
that.
that might not be that other person. That's the person you were then, or that you were trying to be to appease somebody else, or CrossFit your way to happiness, and it wasn't working.
See, that's fire right there, Jez. And it's one of my very firm beliefs that every case of unhappiness and every case of failure is really a case of mistaken identity, right? It's right being someone you're not actually, truly, authentically. That's not yourself, right? And so it's critical. And sometimes we're trying to be what we used to be, right?
Exactly.
And that in of itself can be a problem. Or we're trying to be what we should be, or trying to be what somebody else is. And so I think ultimately at the end of the day, it's really about knowing yourself deeply and truly, noticing what helps you to stay sort of tapped into and turned on and dialed in, and then being and sort of honoring that.
And living that unapologetically, even if that means wearing a gown at 8 a.m., so you can wear that same gown to the red carpet at 8 p.m. that night. You do you, and thanks Rent the Runway for helping me do me.
Boom. By the way, I love this.
Thank you. It's ALC, and of course you can use the RTR Jeslyn. If you want an unlimited Rent the Runway account, you get $100 off this month.
Yeah, if you want my look, you're gonna have to DM me, send me some money, because I can't. No sponsored life here.
Well, we've got some great, incredible guests, so stay tuned. We'll be back with more on EverTalk Live. Hey, this is EverTalk Live, coming to you live Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. in the Ever Media Studios for a little Hollywood and happiness, positivity, and pop culture. On Apple TV and Roku via the EverTalk app, and of course streaming live on all socials.
I've got so much love in my life, and then I get to do this with you every single day. I mean, it's incredible.
If you have a dream, do not let anything stop you.
You can have all the money or all the success in the world, but if you don't have peace, it's all worthless, really, right?
Happiness from the inside out. Please be sure, if you haven't read this book,
Sweet.
you've got to. I
important to
love
remember.
what we do.
I do too, Jess.
Miracles. I'd like just my life to be an example that miracles exist. I am just so grateful that we get to be a part of this journey together, Rob, whether it's 4 a.m. texting up peanut butter and jellies or coming to you live Monday through Friday every 9 a.m. You know when you're going to see that, Eddie?
Yes.
When we're holding it in our own hands,
that's
Rob, for best digital daytime talk show.
What makes people lucky, like actually lucky, is that they believe they're lucky.
Thank you for being my mentor, Rob.
Likewise.
You didn't even know it.
True. Yeah.
I'm out all the time. I'm everywhere. I'm drinking my wine. I'm doing the show. I'm stepping and repeating on some kind of red carpet. I had a little too much. I said, one drink Jeslyn. One drink Jeslyn. 2 tequila Jeslyn. 2 tequila Jeslyn.
One drink Jazz.
Is this one drink Jeslyn? I hope you're proud, Rob.
I'm very
reading
proud
a
of you,
book.
actually. I don't know how you have. The hair is killing it today.
Oh, thank
Are
you.
you feeling-
Clearly, we have no fun around here. It's a thing. Thought of the day: light, love, and magic. Oh, I do it fun. It was wild. Absolutely. Oh my God! Do you know we're still on live, Rob? Right now,
You gotta be kidding.
talking to my angels.
That's hilarious. That's-
love what you do, you don't work a day in your life, right? I absolutely love what I do.
Yeah,
we couldn't do what we do without the support of you watching. Thank you for sharing, for DMing, for commenting, for continuing to support us as we grow and scale our vision. For the people in the studio and their friends and families for having our backs. We're so grateful.
Right. And I'm most deeply and genuinely grateful for you. Truly I am, Jazz. It's just a pleasure every day to get to connect with you and work with you. It's amazing.
Oh, thank you. I'm so grateful for you. We love you, Rob Mack. There isn't a man or woman who hasn't met you and said you're the best dressed person in Los Angeles and the happiest guy we know. It's an honor to be able to do this show with you.
Appreciate that.
We were made for each other. I finally understand that phrase.
This is Black love, and this, and so is this.
I'm just smiling all the time. The goal is always love.
Feels good to give that.
These are our stories.
We want to share and celebrate what we have created.
Because Black love matters.
Love you.
Love it.
This is The Anatomy of Black Love, premiering on Valentine's Day.
Welcome back to EverTalk Live. We are here in our
Yes,
house
we
in
are.
stereo this morning because we are so excited that Jania Frederica Puente is in the house, and we're talking all things love this morning. And okay, first of all, tell us a little bit about the series and what prompted you guys to actually put this on camera. Share your love.
Well, first of all, thank you guys for having me.
Our pleasure.
The show is amazing. So the Anatomy series is a 6-part series, docu-series, airing on Revolt. And the first one, it wasn't supposed to be 6 parts, but the first one did so well. The Anatomy of a Queen aired during Women's History Month. It was just about women being excellent and amazing and creative, and then it got so many great reviews, they asked us to do more. We did one for fatherhood, The Anatomy of a King, The Art of Fatherhood, that did well, and then we signed on to do 4 more. The first of those was Anatomy of Black Love, the clip you just saw, and I mean, it's Black History Month, it's the month of Valentine's Day, so it was kind of a slam dunk. And if you look on Diddy's Instagram, he
that's always a good look.
which was so
That's always a
great.
good look.
A great look. He only has like 16 million followers.
Just a few.
I mean,
You
Just a
know,
few.
it's nothing.
Yeah. So what initially inspired this project?
I am interested in love. I'm interested in excellence. I'm interested in stories that uplift and inspire because, as you know, Black people in the media aren't necessarily depicted in the best light. And I think we need more fluff. I think we need more truth about how vast we really are, how big we are, how grand we are. So that's the whole reason for it.
this project obviously was very well received. You even just mentioned Diddy, but I'm wondering, what do you think really resonated with audiences? What did they learn? What was their takeaway?
I think their takeaway was just how great it is to find someone that you're really compatible with, it doesn't matter what color you are, love is universal and it's important.
So how did you find that and cultivate it? Because I found it a dozen times.
I'm gonna lose it maybe.
Or so I thought.
Yeah.
You found Mr. Right now, right then, and he was. I think it's a work in progress, like we all are. Like I'm a different girl than I was 6 months ago based on the things that I'm learning. And I think when you find a partner, you have to grow with them. My husband and I, we focus on, like, we check in with each other. Like, what are you working on internally? Like, who are you trying to be? And I see himself, I said it in the show, I see himself constantly working on himself, and that inspires me. You know, you don't want to argue about the thing you were arguing about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
6 months ago.
Yeah, if
like,
you're gonna have
how
an
are we
argument, it's nice for it to be new.
Exactly. Like, can this be a new subject? And we have about 4 a year because we kind of like to talk about things.
Well, you should.
Right?
Communication is key.
Exactly. How can you heal something that you never, sort of bring to the surface?
You have to talk about stuff.
Yeah.
I was about to curse. It's early.
It's all good. It's love. You know.
So I know that you're an award-winning writer, director. What is it that you find inspiration in, or who is it?
Who? Oh my God. I love words, so I'm constantly reading. I love Maya Angelou. I love James Baldwin. I love, who am I reading right now? I'm rereading The Bluest Eye right now. I just love words that just, they're like music to me. So.
Yeah. Did you always had a love for words? Do you remember the first book you ever read that you really just sort of fell in love with?
The first book I ever read that I fell in love with was Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. It's the classic.
Remember that one? Yeah.
It was so good.
I remember it. I don't think I was assigned that one.
Yeah, I could see why you wouldn't have read that. It's very girly. But my mom, she bought me my first journal when I was 7, and that's when I started wriing. That's when I really I fell in love with words.
What would you tell that 7-year-old girl, knowing now what you know about life and love and Hollywood?
I would tell her to chill out. Yeah. It's all gonna work out. Everything's happening in the right time. We have an idea of what time is and how it should flow, and that ain't always what it is. I mean, especially now with Mercury in retrograde.
Uh-oh.
so
Boy,
annoying.
I feel like Mercury's always in retrograde in LA. Is that like true, or is that just my experience of?
That's my experience as well. No.
Yeah.
It's gonna be over soon.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Ish.
Hurry up. Speaking of time.
Right.
So what's next for you?
What's next? We're in production right now. We're doing the Anatomy of Street Fashion.
Retrograde. I'm just kidding.
I know, right? No, we started before retrograde.
Okay, good.
But the Anatomy of Street Fashion, so we're taking it back as far as the 90s.
Cool.
When it kind of, all the baggy gear. We sat down with the founders of Cross Colors,
Wow.
which was really amazing. Yeah, so we're going to do fashion. We're going to do one on dance. I'm so excited about that because I told y'all I like to dance in the morning. Well, really throughout the day. And we're doing one on, art. Oh, art. Yes, I didn't name art. Yeah, we're doing one on art. Yeah.
So, I have a question. Of course, you're extraordinarily creative and talented.
Thanks.
And you've also done a great job of partnering with, whether it's production companies, networks, whatever, to kind of bring these projects to light, right? And I wonder, what's been the secret to making that happen? Because I wonder, how do you connect with people in ways that let your business idea come to fruition?
Great question. So I started creating content as an actor due to frustration of what was out there. Like I got tired of playing the girlfriend and the fiance.
Yeah.
So I started to create content, and through, you start off with a couple of pitch meetings, and you may not know this person, but I had a champion, Robin Latiker Johnson. She was at BET years ago, and I just started pitching to her. She liked my ideas. She felt like a couple of them were too smart for BET.
Uh-oh.
She moved on to sci-fi, and I kept pitching to her. I felt like I had some great ideas. It's a massaged process. But I believe energy is the most important thing, because the day I got the call to work with Revolt, I sat down and I said, you know what? I'm in pre-production. I didn't have anything on the horizon, but I told myself, I'm in pre-production. I opened my laptop, I started typing away, and do you know, an hour later, I got a phone call.
Wow.
And it's also from writing it down. I talked about the 15-minute miracle. You'll be amazed at how much it works. I tell people, if you're gonna do it, just be prepared for what happens after that, because it is going to happen.
I love that.
Yeah.
Dear God, it's me, Margaret.
Get ready.
Please tell everyone where they can find and follow you.
Hey, you can find me at Jania Frederique on all platforms. Is it hard to spell? Is it on the bottom of the screen?
It's right there.
Yeah,
It's right
lower
there.
third.
So just find me at Jania Frederique.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Such a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
great
Back
to
with
talk
more on
to you.
EverTalk Live. You're so Welcome back to EverTalk Live. It's time to curb your enthusiasm. I know you are so excited to talk to Francisco Rodriguez just as much as I am. Thanks for being here with us this morning.
Thank you. My pleasure. I
We
appreciate being
He's got a great
invited.
smile. Right away, it's just lights up.
It happens on its own, really.
Yeah, it does.
All right, so I gotta ask your Instagram handle, Frank in the 310.
Frank in the 310. Yeah.
What's
Write
that
that
about?
down for me.
Okay, pretty straightforward. Essentially, that's the area code of my phone number. It used to be 941, and before that 956, and before that 512.
So we know the story of your life right there.
Yeah. You know exactly where I'm from. Basically Texas, then Florida, and now here.
All right, I'm from the 616, now I'm the 310.
Look at you, Jazz. Yeah.
Moving on up.
I'm not going to share mine.
No.
Might look me up.
All
Find
area
things.
codes are welcome here.
Yeah.
So obviously, what was your journey, your real journey, besides the area codes to Hollywood and having the successful acting career you have now?
I started off in a small town, Brownsville, Texas. Then I moved on to Austin. I was really heavily involved with theater. That was my favorite thing, my favorite bread and butter. I loved writing and performing, but then at some point I decided that I really wanted to step up my game. So I started working in more professional circles theatrically. I joined Equity, began working with different repertory companies in Florida, in San Diego. And then at some point I just decided, you know what, I want to give television a try. And then I made the great foray from the East straight over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've been going since.
Wow. And then sort of how long did it take between the move and the first gig?
That's great. That's a great question, because it actually took, it took a while.
Yeah.
I got it was a small gig at first. It was a gig, in fact, that I was really excited about, and right as I was about to walk into the room to deliver my line, they cut me out at the end.
Oh, man.
You know?
Got left on the editing room floor.
Yeah, got left on the editing room floor. That's right. It took me about 3 years to get that.
Yeah.
And then my first gig was in Future Man on Hulu.
Yeah.
And that was maybe about like 2.5 years ago. And then it's just sort of been cascading since.
Yeah.
You know?
And you
It's been
booked
good.
Curb Your Enthusiasm?
Yes.
Talk to us a little bit about that.
I booked Curb, and I was in the last episode, not last week, but the week before that. So, spoilers. Essentially, it's an episode where Larry is trying to figure out the weight of his friends. He needs to know it for a plane ride. He ends up inadvertently going to Cabo, and while he's there, he's at a festival, and he happens to go there with the woman he's dating. He's trying to figure out her weight because he needs to know it. And he comes across a booth where there's a weight guesser. I play the role of Ernesto, the weight guesser. And I begrudgingly, after being bribed, guess the lady's weight. He then contracts me. He then essentially pretends to be really upset, like he never asked me to do that. He berates me, but then he thanks me and shoves money in my shirt. And then he comes back and has me guess everyone else's weight as he essentially shows them off in front of me. So
it's fascinating. Yeah. Do you get nervous? Do you still get nervous when you go? I mean, you're coming from theater. So theater, it's like you get one shot.
Yeah.
So TV, you can get maybe more than one shot. But do you still get nervous when you perform?
You know what? I do. And I think that's natural. I think that's natural for anyone that's about to engage in any kind of performance.
Especially if you care, right?
Especially if you care. And I think that's why you get nervous.
Yeah.
You get nervous. If you didn't care, you wouldn't get nervous.
Yeah, right.
You know, you get nervous because you want to do a really good job and this matters to you.
How do you manage that?
Good question. I think you end up making a certain amount of peace with it and knowing that it doesn't go away. I remember I was watching this actress with the RSC, the Royal Shakespeare Company, and she did this wonderful monologue. It was for a class, and then this woman was tapping her feet together in the front row, and just the actress stopped. Yeah. And she looked at all of us and she said, "Do you know that the slightest thing I see, the slightest noise I hear throws me off? You may not know this, but I am intensely nervous up here. It never goes away. It never goes away." So if you could all just show me the respect of showing me silence.
Yeah.
And that stuck with me, because this woman was, a seasoned actress. And she was working with the greats.
Wow.
But to know that she still felt that,
Yeah.
it made me feel good.
Yeah.
Knowing that we're all there on the same level.
We really are. So Frank, what's next for you?
Essentially, next I have a few auditions coming up. I can't actually talk about them.
Yeah.
You have to sign some NDAs sometimes. So I'm focusing on those. But aside from that, I'm a fan of also writing. I like to write plays, short stories, that kind of thing. I have a show coming out in the LA Theater Festival, The Fringe. And then also I have a commercial that's actually wrapping up right now for AT&T.
Oh, nice.
It's a national commercial. It was bilingual, showing in Mexico and here.
Yeah.
Cashing in the big money with AT&T.
Those national SAGs.
Well, thank you so much, Frank and the 310. We look forward to continuing to find and follow you there. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more on EverTalk Live. 5, 4, 3, 2. Happy New Year, everyone. I'm your host, Jez Mouillet, aka The Trading Bell. What a morning it will be. Due to recent news, we're expecting that the market will be down today, but that could potentially present some opportunity for us. Let's take a look at our watch list. One of the things that differentiates The Trading Bell from any of the other stock shows, other than we do live trading, is everything that we do is on camera, so you can see it as it happens. You are seeing what's happening right now in this moment. 2020, it's all about money, money, money. That is my motto. Remember, money never sleeps, pal. That's right. That's why I'm here trading in Los Angeles live with you at the opening bell. Whew, sun is not even up yet, but the stocks are on the move. Numbers are moving faster than I can even speak. Well, let's face it. I'm excited. I'm thrilled. I've got goosebumps. This is a history in the making. Top of the list, SVRA up 154% this morning. Build BVI at 162. Oh, that feels good. BPH, Spring Baked Pharmaceuticals up 22%. That is going to make for a very sweet start to 2020. Filled. Woo! That feels good. Just a disclaimer, this is an entertainment show, so please don't treat any of the information you hear on the show as an investment advice, because trading is risky. What's on the year strong? Visit EverTalk TV, Facebook, or Instagram at The Trading Bell. Remember, every dream has its price. What's yours? Welcome back to EverTalk Live. This morning, we're combining woo with do. That's right, namaste. Janae is with us today. Tell us a little bit about soulpreneurship, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks for having me. Soulpreneurship is really soulful entrepreneurship. So impact-driven women is really who I work with. And I support them in creating online businesses utilizing social media.
Oh, fantastic. So take us back to the beginning of your journey, how this all started.
I was working in corporate for one of the biggest brands in the world and was really anxious and really depressed. I hated it, as you've probably heard before. Climbed the corporate ladder and just felt like empty. And so 7 days before my 27th birthday, I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror and I said, this is it. You're either going to commit to this life, people pleasing everyone else, and you're left in the dust, or you're going to quit and figure it out. And at that point, I had fell in love with yoga, became a yoga teacher. And so I quit, started teaching yoga in LA, and quickly realized that was not going to pay the bills or let me lead the life that I wanted to. But I had amassed a little following on Instagram. And so I figured out pretty quickly how to capitalize on that and became a life coach, and then started an online coaching business that has now grown to multiple six figures and a great top-rated podcast called The Soulpreneur Show. And we're just moving along.
I love that it's providing multiple six figures for you, and you know that's always very important. But what is it about this that really fulfills you?
Oh my gosh, I get to teach young women, young entrepreneurial women who want to make a difference. They want to help other people. I get to teach them how to start their own businesses. So I teach them how to make money online at the bare bones. Yeah. And so that to me is incredibly fulfilling because they get to now have their own career that they're in total control of, right? And so they're making, enough money to support themselves, to help their partner, to live their dreams, to quit their jobs. And that's, I think, the baseline of entrepreneurship, why we do it.
Yeah, totally. I love that. So corporate depression, you went off to do the yoga stuff, wasn't paying the bills, moved into creating and starting your own business. Talk to us a little bit about that piece. Like, what did you do right away that began to make or allow things to shift for you in terms of building that business into something that was sort of sustainable?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I listen to the market, and I think that's really important. I always say the market will naturally push you in the direction that you're supposed to go. And so for me, it was really about supporting people at first with mindfulness. So I was a life coach and transformational coach. And quickly, people were coming through my program, right? I had that audience, which is like one of the most important things if you're an entrepreneur and you want to make money quickly, start building an audience, right? Provide value every single day, teach people something, figure out what you love to do, what you're an expert in, and what you can be an expert in, because you're already 3 to 5 steps ahead of someone else, right? And that's really all we're doing as teachers, educators, coaches. You're just 5 steps ahead of someone else and supporting them and getting through those 5 steps quicker, right? It's like taking the stairs or taking an elevator. So people work with you because you can teach them how to get to where you are, which is where they want to go quickly. So you save them time, money, resources, energy, everything, right? A lot of frustration as well.
And so for me, I capitalized on that audience, right? I had built so much trust with them. I'd never asked anyone to buy something from me. I didn't really do a lot of ads. And so once I started, I had shared and just taught. And so once I created an offer, right, I was like, hey, I'm selling 1 hour sessions, right? And I booked up like that. And then I said, oh, okay, so let me create another offer. And then it was a 6-week intensive program all around mindset and self-mastery, like personal development. And then women were graduating from that, and they started asking me, hey, can you teach me what you're doing? And the market led me right into the business side, because I was like, oh yeah, I can teach women how to grow an audience, how to create an offer, how to test that offer, how to develop, right, all of the tech and automations that you need on the inside of your business. So I just let it take me each step farther.
What do you think is the biggest kind of roadblock that most of your clients are experiencing, keeping them from that success?
Absolutely. I think it's a lot of self-doubt, right? We're all taught you're not supposed to shine. Who are you to teach someone else? Who are you to do any of these things? And we're conditioned that safety is in going to work, sitting behind your desk, right? And letting someone else pay you for the rest of your life. But I had this perception shift when I started making what I made as a salary every month. And I was like, oh, this is so much safer. And so now that's part of what I support these women in, kind of switching their mindset of like, it's actually less safe to be dependent on someone else because they can take it away at any time. And we see with the economy, right?
Yeah, it is mind-blowing when you've had that kind of perception change, to think that you were actually putting your safety and your security in someone else.
Yeah.
Whether that's financially or personally, emotionally, spiritually. How do you really take ownership of that for yourself? I mean, how do you really own that?
Yeah, I think for me, I was fired from almost every job I ever had, which was something I didn't share earlier, but I quit the last job that I had is the only one that I quit. So really quickly, I realized that like what I had could be taken away at any time. And I think that's really what sparked,
an important lesson.
Yeah, that's what sparked the entrepreneurial kind of decision for me, was I wanted to be in control. And it builds so much confidence because you see someone else that you're supporting change their life or have a shift, or right, they get to help someone else and you're like, wow, this is such a ripple effect.
Oh, namaste.
Yeah.
Please tell everyone where they can find and follow you.
Yes, you can find me at Namaste Janae on all platforms, and you can listen to my podcast weekly episodes at The Soulpreneur Show.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
More on EverTalk Live. Welcome back to EverTalk Live. We are beyond honored to be having this very important conversation with the authors of Mastering Diabetes and their revolutionary method to reversing insulin resistance permanently. Okay, so I'm very curious, how did the two of you kind of take back control of your own lives from diabetes?
So we were individually both diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at different points in our life. It was in 2000 for him and 2002 for me. And we decided somewhere along the way that we would decide that we each individually wanted to really live a truly healthy life. So I was eating a low carbohydrate diet as the doctors had recommended me to do, because that's sort of a one-size-fits-all prescription for people living with any form of diabetes. So I did that for a year thinking that it was the right thing to do. And then about a year into it, I noticed that my blood glucose was a disaster. My insulin use was going up over time, but I felt super low energy. My joints hurt, my muscles hurt, and I actually got depressed. And so after about a year of doing this, I was like, you know what? I think there's a better way. There has to be a better way. So I just started searching for more information, and a plant-based diet presented itself as a possible solution. When I started doing the plant-based diet, all of a sudden, everything changed very quickly.
Wow.
Blood glucose very controlled, insulin use down, energy levels up, and I could feel it immediately inside of me. And then that's what that really inspired me to want to continue this and to help other people make that same transition.
Fascinating. Is your story similar?
Very similar.
Yeah.
And it's exactly right. We're doing the exact opposite of what people are told to do living with diabetes.
Yeah.
We have over 115 million people in the US alone living with some form of diabetes, and they're predominantly told, limit your carbohydrate intake. We eat unlimited amounts of fruits, starchy vegetables, legumes, intact whole grains, and we have the best blood glucose control. We have clients reversing type 2 diabetes, reversing prediabetes. It's just a lot of fun.
Wow. So what's going on here? Why is all the research and most of the folks that are in the field telling us to do one thing when something actually quite differently works?
Okay, so the simplest way to think about this whole thing is that there's a big difference between what happens in the short term and what happens in the long term. And human beings, for whatever reason, are very easily influenced by getting short-term results.
Yeah.
So a lot of the marketing and a lot of the information about how you can solve diabetes is focused around weight loss. So if I can get you to lose, 10 pounds in the next 30 days or 15 pounds in the next 30 days, chances are you're going to want to do it because you want to lose some weight, right? And so people are sort of coerced into this idea that if you were to eat a diet that's like meat heavy, as you see in the low carbohydrate and ketogenic worlds, that you will lose weight, which is true, and your blood glucose will improve, which is true, and your cholesterol will improve, which is true. And that all happens in the short term. So fast forward 3-6 months, you get these tremendous results. But then if you move forward 2 years, 3 years, 5 years into the future, the picture changes. And your risk for developing many chronic diseases goes way up.
Wow.
But from a marketing perspective, it's hard for people to understand what information is purely marketing and what information is actually evidence-based. And that's what we do, is we bring to the table the science of chronic disease reversal with a focus on reversing diabetes.
And make it very easy to understand. This book has over 800 scientific references, but it's an easy read. And we're really loving the feedback we're getting on that front.
Now, have you experienced kind of any pushback with this plant-based diet? Because there's a lot of Americans still that are very against giving up their meats, giving up their dairies.
Yeah, I would say there's a lot of pushback. And there's a lot of people that point fingers at us and they say, oh, your science is not credible, right? We don't believe it. Oh, this is just an N of 2 experiment. The two of you have had success, but what you're doing is actually hurting people. And people are entitled to their own opinion, but people are not entitled to their own facts. And if you look at the facts and if you actually spend time in the scientific research, which is what we like to do, it becomes pretty clear that eating a plant-heavy diet is a phenomenal way to reverse many chronic diseases and really transform your diabetes health.
What kind of tips would you share in somebody integrating that even just slowly? Because it can be a big, massive, and often scary shift for a lot of people.
That's exactly right. Slower is better. We're all about slow and steady winning the race in this transition to like a plant-based diet, okay? So we actually, in our program, have people just change breakfast first. And we teach people to eat fruit, large amounts of whole fruit in order to improve their blood glucose control, reverse insulin resistance, gain energy, reach their ideal weight, and then you transition to lunch. You eat more starchy foods, beans, lentils, okay? More like potatoes, butternut squash. That's what you're gonna get at lunch. Dinner, you start eating more of those foods and then lots of vegetables as well. But it's one meal at a time. This is actually better for your microbiome, so you can sort of have that slower change instead of getting too much bloat as you eat more and more plant-based foods. So one meal at a time is the way to do it.
Fascinating. Is there anybody for whom a plant-based diet doesn't work?
We were just asked this question actually on a different TV show, and I spent a lot of time thinking about it, and the answer is from what I know and from the research, no. There's no demographic for which it doesn't work. And there's actually some position papers that have been written by the American Heart Association, the Food and Agriculture Organization, and what this research shows is that a plant-based diet is good for all stages of the life cycle. And we're talking about pregnancy, breastfeeding, adolescence, the elderly, athletes. And so there's really no particular demographic for which a plant-based diet isn't going to make some significant improvements in your overall health.
Wow, very exciting. Please tell everyone where they can find and follow, of course, get more information, the book, any other events you have coming up.
Okay, so at Mastering Diabetes across all platforms. The book is available everywhere. Amazon, Barnes & Noble. We read our own audiobook.
Oh, nice.
So check that out. We added some extra information in there. We got some bonuses in front of each chapter. It's on ebooks, so Kindle, Apple Books, it's available everywhere. And we're just really excited to get this information out there and have more people totally taking control of their diabetes health.
Fantastic, guys. Thanks for your work. Appreciate it.
We really
Thank you, guys.
appreciate you. Stay tuned. We'll be back for more on EverTalk Live.
Last night I dreamt and you were there. But when I woke in the morning, it didn't feel real. Putting the pieces back together, finding a strength I never knew. Start again. This time it's gonna be different. I'm learning to breathe again. This time it's gonna feel different. The past is in the past. Some things just never last. Learn to let go. Start again. Start again.
Welcome back to EverTalk Live. I'm beyond honored to welcome one of New York media's most accomplished editors and author of the memoir As Needed for Pain, Dan Paris. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me, you guys.
So this book has been a hot topic since its release, and I'm very honored to have this conversation for you, especially for somebody who has a chronic pain condition. As Needed for Pain has been prescribed to me now for years, so I can deeply relate to that. But I would love for you to share a bit about your personal journey and how it completely altered your lifestyle.
I'm happy to talk about it. I, like so many people in this country, had an injury and went to see a doctor for that injury and was prescribed opiate prescription painkillers. Initially, at least for me, it was Vicodin. And I developed a dependency to that Vicodin pretty quickly, and that dependency sort of exploded into just a crippling addiction for me. There are a lot of people that suffer from chronic pain, and I believe that they should be prescribed these medications. I think that they're probably too often prescribed and overprescribed, but I don't advocate for us getting rid of opiates. My story is about my struggle with addiction and my path to recovery.
Yeah. So talk to us a little bit. I worked sort of that field for a while, and it's so both inspiring on one hand, but also incredibly frustrating on the other. How did you sort of pull yourself out from underneath of the addiction and the frustration and the upset and that entire experience that is, I guess your memoir?
You know, it is. I wish I could say it's easy. It's not. It was a very complicated path for me. My addiction was all-consuming. I was swallowing handfuls of pills every day, and I needed them to function. I needed them to get out of bed in the morning, to get through my day, to get back into bed. Running out of them was an absolute nightmare and was just brutal and awful. And I knew I wanted to stop, but I was scared to ask for help. And part of the reason that I am sharing my story is to help destigmatize addiction today. This is not a moral failure, right? This isn't a lack of willpower. This is truly part of the human condition. This is a disease. And I think we have to change our thinking toward addiction, and we have to educate people. We have to make treatment options more available across the country. And so for me, my journey was tough, but I was ready and I got help, and I've been sober since 2007. And so I'm happy to share my story and see if I can't help anyone else that is either struggling as an active addict or has a family member or loved one or someone that they're close to that is struggling as an addict. I mean, just sorry, one more thing to say is that, we hear, on the national political stage, certainly people talking about, the opioid epidemic, we read about it all the time. It doesn't discriminate. It is the great equalizer. It can impact, I was a media executive working in New York City. It's wiping out whole communities. It's devastating communities. And so this is very real, and I'm trying to get people to understand that.
I think that is so important, destigmatizing it, because from the very poor to the very rich, this is affecting so many families.
Everyone.
Not only in America, but across the world. What can we do to continue to destigmatize it, to have a conversation? Because it still seems like there's so many stereotypes and rumors and judgments and shame and guilt by the people who have addiction, by the people around them.
That's very true, and it's exactly those things, the shame and the embarrassment and the judgment that I lived with. You're already in an incredibly dark place when you are an active addict. It's dark and lonely and terrifying.
Or glamorous, and you're in Paris, and you're in New York, and you're with Hollywood stars.
I was all over the world. I was hosting parties for movie stars and having intimate dinners with the world's best fashion designers. But so outside looking at me, it may have appeared enviable.
Right.
On the inside, I was broken and terrified, and in the grips of this addiction that I couldn't shake loose from. I think we have to talk about it. I think we have to talk about prevention and education and treatment. I think we have to understand that there's no face for an addict. You can't, people have said to me, you don't look like a stereotypical addict. And
what does that mean?
Exactly, like what does that mean? There is no face. It is impacting, it's everyone. There's no economic barriers, there's no gender, race, it simply doesn't matter. And so I am sharing my story to try to get the word out, and every opportunity I have to do what I can to destigmatize this. People need to raise their hand and say, I need help. Because without help, it is incredibly, I don't want to say impossible, but incredibly difficult to get sober.
Wow, fantastic. So if anybody out there needs help, where can they find your book?
They can find my book wherever you find books. Amazon, any bookstore. It's called As Needed for Pain.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Dan. We so appreciate you being 100% authentic and vulnerable and sharing your story, because it's a light that we need in the world.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, Dan. Thanks so much for being with us today on EverTalk Live. We won't be here tomorrow as we are honoring the life of Jason Davis, but we will be back on Monday for all things happiness in Hollywood, pop culture, and positivity.
That's right. Have a fantastic day, a fantastic Friday, a fantastic weekend. Have a great day on purpose. Bye-bye.
Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday, Jess. Jason.